Okay, good evening from Yorkshire. My name is Alun, and tonight I'm facilitating the first of two sessions of Knight's Black Operators. This game has been organised through the Gauntlet Hangouts calendar. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, then you should definitely Google the Gauntlet RPG and find not only lots of great players like those in this session, playing great games, but if you choose to support the Gauntlet Patreon, you'll also have access to the Gauntlet Slack, our community discussion forum, the Gauntlet Codex, which is frankly transcending the description of monthly zine. And to be honest, the chance to contribute to some of the sharpest examples of next-gen RPG like Hearts of Ulen and Girl Underground and Trophy, to name just three. The game we're playing is using the operator rules for cinematic action role-playing by Kyle Simons, published by SJK Publishing. I've tweaked it in tiny ways, really, just to be able to play in the worlds of Knight's Black Agents by Ken Hite and published by Pelgrane Press. And these sessions are scaffolded by the published adventure, The Helsing Letter by Graham Ryder-Hanrahan, also from Pelgrane. The game is about extremely competent burned spies, ex-criminals, other shady types that populate the European underworld. The difference is that they have each learned of the secret vampire conspiracy seeking to control the world and have decided to fight it. Basically, if they don't fight it, they know it will come after them and theirs and kill them, or perhaps even worse. My suggested touchstone for this kind of game is Jason Bourne Vampire Hunter, or perhaps Mission Impossible Vampire Protocol. The aim of these two sessions then is I'm hoping the players will drive their characters' operations against the vampire conspiracy that they all know about. Specifically, they will pursue leads related to a significant letter written by Abraham Van Helsing at the start of the 20th century. The spirit of the game, though, is definitely an action movie, not a police procedural. In terms of tone, we have vampires operating through a network of faceless multinationals, government agencies, and seedy underworld cutouts. So this game is intended to be rich in darkness and foreboding. How dark may depend on how the players approach the game. And I suppose, given that where that subject matter might take us, we could touch on some disturbing issues, and therefore we'll be careful to use the safety tools espoused by the Gauntlet community. Now, if the players look in the Character Keeper tab, Cats, Lines and Veils, they'll see my starting point for lines that we won't cross in the fiction. My starting lines are sexual violence and violence against children. Because of the setting, it is possible, I guess, that we may see the implicit threat of these, and we might even see the consequences of these. But all I'd ask is, if the players have any others they'd like to add, if they could add them to that section of the Character Keeper so we can all see them. As well as lines, we'll be playing with veils. Things may happen in the fiction, but we won't see them on screen. They won't be described. A veil will be drawn across the action. For me, sex is there because I'm old and British and I couldn't possibly have that described on screen. And torture. I thought long and hard about whether torture should be a line or a veil. My starting position is as a veil. If any of the players want to raise it to line, feel free. Again, if there are any other veils that the players want, I'd ask them to put them in that section of the Character Keeper so we can all see them. The other, I guess, safety tools we're using is that we'll be playing with the Gauntlet inclusivity policy. This is an open table, not just between now and the next session, so we may get a couple of changes in the characters. But it's an open table so that if any of the players need to take a break or just want to walk away, we hope they'll come back. But if they don't, that's fine. It is an open table. And finally, the X card. I would ask the players that if they are going to play the X card and play it if something gets uncomfortable for you, I won't ask you why. I may ask you how much you want me to rewind the fiction so I know what to go round in retelling the story. But to help me, because I'm remarkably poor at reading the chat on these occasions, if you could make the X card sign, then that would be helpful to me. And don't be afraid, because while I've played with most of these players before, I just want to make it clear to all of them that Don't feel that if something slides by you and you are later concerned about something, don't feel you can't use the X card retrospectively. Again, I might ask you where you want to go back to, but I certainly won't be asking you why. Okay, so that's the sense of this session. I think now the logical thing to do would be to ask the players to introduce themselves. Can I do that in character keeper order, please, from left to right? Starting with Will, could you just tell us something about yourself, introduce yourself, and then tell us about Harrison Blake, please?
So my name is Will, pronouns he, him, and I'm on the other side of the border over in Lancashire from Alun. And I am playing Harrison Blake, a British secret agent who formerly worked for SIS/MI6. No, MI6 or MI5? I always get those two confused. Yeah, MI6. And he was a digital analyst / hacker who spent a little bit of time in the field planting bugs and so forth. And can I say what burned him from the organization, Alan? Yeah, he was burned from SIS after he followed some crypto transfers back to a senior Conservative Party donor from a shadowy criminal organization that he was investigating.
I feel obliged to point out, for reasons of balance, that the other political parties are available. No, thank you for that. Can I move on then to Lowell? Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about Eunjung Ri? You're muted, Lowell.
I just pulled a Sherry. Eunjung Ri is a second-generation Korean American. Her grandfather brought her, came over. Her father grew up here, and she essentially joined the NSA, and she has been an operative working in Europe, essentially making contact with North Korean nationals. There are a lot of that sort of wealthy upper class North Koreans and other Asian agencies, and she kind of monitors and interacts with them. That's her specialty, is kind of moving around in that area.
Sorry, then I was muted. Thanks for that, Lowell.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a proper game if Alan isn't at some point muted when he shouldn't be. Horst, introduce yourself and tell us about Behruz Esfahani.
So I'm Horst, he, him, and I'm playing Behruz Esfahani, a ex-member of the Iranian Special Forces, the Niru Ye Vize, I want to say. And I think he got burned. So he's a brute. He's muscle, and he was accompanying probably an officer in a special operation, and he found out that the people he was dealing with, he would call shaitan, so some kind of demons or devils that can't be trusted. And then he left. The organization left Iran, and since then lives in the Middle East or Southern Europe, I guess. And he has a wife, an ex-wife, that's still in Iran.
Okay, thank you for that. That sounded like I broke up. Did you hear me? Okay. And last but not least, Einar, would you like to just introduce yourself and tell us about Nadia Hort?
Hello, I'm Einar, he, him. Nadia Hjort is used to work for the Norwegian intelligence service, and she has also worked for the police security service in Norway. Used to work on counterterrorism. Now, though, she is hiding out in her cottage in Telemark because of her encounters with or suspicions about the occult.
Okay, thank you for that. I should have pointed out I am he, him. What I'd like to do is we had a discussion before I started recording on our villain. There was a move towards Michael Shannon being the image of our villain. Is anyone going to speak very strongly against that, or I will settle on him? Okay, so for our thousands of viewers, Michael Shannon is going to play our villain. This is a game of cinematic action, and so the rules of cinema will apply, which means that wherever you are, you can quickly be drawn together. And just to be clear, you all know one another. It's quite conceivable that you have worked together before, and as far as any of you can trust anyone, you trust one another. And I think what I'd like to start with is I'd like to give you an opportunity just to display your competency in a brief opening scene to our movie. And I think we open on an image of a harassed young woman walking through the rain in fashionable West London. She has one of those small collapsible umbrellas which is struggling to cope with the rain in the dark. Which of you did she call to arrange the meeting?
I think that's probably me, since that's my sort of specialty is meeting with people and being super pleasant when they run into me, because I'm just the nicest. So yeah.
She said she had a lead for you on the conspiracy. She didn't need to specify which conspiracy. You could hear the capital C in her voice. Mm-hmm. Could somebody else tell me what her name is?
Nadia Markov.
That's fine. So Nadia, or at least that's the name you know her by, Harrison. Who do you think she works for?
SAS.
Okay, so Markov, probably post-World War II immigrant from Eastern Europe. Fine, so a member of MI6, you think? Or are you certain about that? Okay. Would Beruz or Nadia like to tell me where the meeting place was set? I'd settle for a kind of place. You don't need to know West London.
I want to say like a pub that is a former church. Like there's this former church in Muswell Hill, which is not West London, that has been turned into a pub.
That's great. And last but not least, Nadia, do you want to tell me how late it is? She insisted it be late, but how late did it get settled on?
I think, yeah, actually, like half past midnight.
Midnight in West London on her way to a deconsecrated church. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Would you like to tell me how the team is deployed, please? In any order you like.
I think I'm out and visible. Like I know other people better at surveilling and so on. So I'm the one who is out and walking, A, to get there, and B, to draw anyone who might be observing for the others to spot. So I'm more out in the open.
Okay. What about Harrison?
I think Harrison is sat in a van with a bunch of various gadgets around him, like Wi-Fi sniffers, signal blockers, all those kind of things, like seeing if anyone's creeping up on the local comms and so forth.
Okay. Does he have access to local CCTV?
If you'll give it to me just by saying yes, then yes, he does.
Well, you see, what I'm wondering is whether this is an opportunity for you to prime your discipline, digital surveillance and countermeasures. And you could put a tick in the box for later use. So let's have you roll surveil. Now, the way the mechanic works is you roll all 4 of your fate dice. You simply need 1+ to succeed, given that your surveil skill is 1.
Okay. I literally got 1, so good job I put a 1 in that.
and of course, the great advantage of this is that if you roll a negative, I can either insert a complication now, or I can store it for later. So that is as good a result as you needed to get.
Perfect.
So yes, I think then. So what do we see on the screen over your shoulder?
I think you see like dozens of windows with a few command lines running and like nodes and things. A little map showing the location of various devices in the area connecting to different surfaces. But then you also see a little window of various CCTV cameras that I have managed to hack into, and I can tab in between them all.
Thank you for that. Beruz, where are you?
So Beruz, I think, is outside the church, hiding behind a tree and also surveilling the immediate, surroundings.
That makes sense. I won't ask you to demonstrate how well concealed you are yet. I might come back to that when it matters. And finally, Nadia, where in this opening scene do we see Nadia?
Nadia is already at the bar with a drink, and she's sort of scrolling through a newspaper, just memorizing everything as is her habit.
Okay, that makes that. So I've got my setup, and so we see on Harrison's screen, he's picked up Markov, our informant, and as she walks out of one view, the next window picks her up from a slightly different angle. Beruz, you're outside, and Unjung, you're walking towards the church, the club. Which of you sees her first, and why?
I assume I'm a little bit ahead, so I probably do spot her, because I'm assuming that Beruz is sort of covering back behind me. So see her walking up there.
Okay, does that make sense, Beruz?
Absolutely.
Have you got eyes on Unjung?
I do.
I'm assuming you're all connected by one of those little, those terribly high-tech earbuds. So let me know if you want to talk to anyone, Einar, because you're not currently in sight of anybody. Sorry, Nadia. So I think Unjung, you can see her walking towards you, and we can also see from Harrison's screens the two of you in different windows walking. What's your reaction when there's a slight fat and the bullet passes through her temple?
think that I just go for cover immediately. No noise. I'm just trying to get somewhere. If I can judge the path of that bullet, I want to get somewhere that an engine block or something is between me and that.
Okay, I suppose I'm looking for possibly conceal would seem the logical skill at this point to see whether you can conceal yourself. Want to give that a go?
I will absolutely give that a go. Let me reroll selected. So that is a plus and 3 minuses.
Oh, isn't life sweet?
It is.
So I'll add 3 complications to your character sheet. But you do indeed succeed. You disappear, because I'm not going to use those now. That would be too simple. So
Fair
you
enough.
disappear into a shadow doorway from where you can see the body. Beruz, you had eyes on Unjung. You see her disappear into a doorway, and that probably directs you beyond her to the slumped figure of your contact.
Yeah, I'm using the earpiece to say, Harrison, do you have eyes on the target? Not yet.
And Harrison is rapidly like switching through windows, switching through things, and he's essentially like looping back the last like 3 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds of footage to try and identify the shooter from any of those various feeds that he's picked up from the local Wi-Fi network.
Okay, thank you. Given that you've heard that, Nadia, what do you do sat at the bar?
I quietly get up and try to see if there's a back door.
I think that's probably surveil, isn't it? Or
Sure.
would you like to suggest something else?
Well, just trying to make my way out of the bar in a sort of as inconspicuous manner as possible. So could be conceal, I guess.
Well, whichever one you want to use.
Yeah. All right. I'll do conceal. Oh, okay. That's 1 short.
Okay.
With 1 minus.
So you roll 2 pluses, which means with a conceal of 3, you don't make it. So how do the people in the bar know, therefore, that you have ducked out the back way? What do we see?
I think I get kind of nervous and start fiddling with my concealed weapon in such a way that it's obvious that I'm, doing something, and maybe someone even gets a look at it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yes, I think that's absolutely tremendous, and I think I will use that minus as a complication. As someone says, "She's got a gun!" Panic ensues. What do you do, Nadia?
No. I'm a professional, and I pull out my Norwegian ID card, and I try to. You're muted.
Just to be clear, you used to work for Norwegian intelligence. You are all burned from those proper jobs. So you're going to try and bluff her with the one you've got?
Yep.
Which skill do you think best fits that?
That's talk soft, I guess.
Yeah, I wondered which way you jump. Let's see you talk soft on that then.
Okay, so 3 pluses.
So that's an absolute win because you have talk soft at 2 and you roll 3 pluses. You get to define an advantage. So what advantage do you want out of this?
I think I want to convince everyone that there's some sort of operation going on, and that they need to get into. They need to quietly just hide in the bathrooms.
Okay, so so are you announcing this generally? I should have asked you how noisy the pub was.
Yeah, I think I was imagining sort of it going quiet when after they saw I had a gun or someone shouted that, and all the attention was directed at me already. So
fine, I think that's a solid advantage. So the innocent bystanders leave the bar, and the barman and the barmaid carefully usher them out into what passes for a place of safety. Yeah. I'll come back to see what you do in a moment. Meanwhile, Eunjung, you're nearest. What are you doing?
So over the comms, I will say, because it sounds like there's some attention being drawn elsewhere. That's the impression I'm getting. Then I will say, I'm gonna get what I can off the body, cover me, and essentially I'm gonna try and slide out, and whatever documents, papers, wallet, any of that, I want to quickly get those off of Markov's body, and into my pocket ASAP. Phone, yeah, anything.
That sounds like steal.
Then I will do that. Rerolling. Ooh, let's take a look here. Now, the trademark, does that have to be declared before you roll, or can that be done?
That can be done at the drop of a hat, and your trademark is available 1 per session. You can turn those 2 minuses into a full hand of pluses if you want to.
Then that is what I am going to do, because I don't want to walk out into the middle of crossfire and roll 2 minuses on this one. So
okay,
I will go ahead and spend that.
So you'll need 1 to succeed at it, so that gives you 3 potential advantages to play with. And I'm imagining that one of those is that you do this without getting caught in a crossfire, wherever that crossfire might arrive from. Do you want to tell me what else to do with those advantages?
So not getting caught in the crossfire, do this kind of quickly, so it's not like I'm standing there for a while, like I keep moving after I do the brush down, and then definitively the phone. Like, it's not just wallet, papers, it's also whatever phone or electronics. Does that seem fair?
That does. Beruz, you see Eunjung gliding up to the body, and in that touch and go way that you recognize as her particular style, it looks like she's filleted the body for anything useful. You notice a taxi pull round the top of the road towards where Eunjung is kneeling over the body. What do you do?
Beruz will draw his gun and move in a way that he would intersperse, is that a word? No, like move between the taxi and Eun.
Is he doing that in the open, or is he trying to do that without drawing the taxi's attention?
No, he's doing that in the open. He worked as a bodyguard, and that is his instinct, trying to secure the information.
Fine. Harrison, sorry, I thought you'd gone then. Harrison, you're seeing this unfold in front of you on the screen. The van is around a corner behind the church. What do you do?
Can I feed them information to boost them, like using that I can see from the van?
Well, the joy of doing that would be that any advantages you create, you could pass on to them, couldn't you?
Okay, so if I rolled my surveil, I suppose, and then I can pass on any advantages that I get through my surveil. But that's a disadvantage that I got through that. But I'm going to re-roll my discipline, right? So I can re-roll any blanks if primed. So I can re-roll those blanks and see if I get any advantages.
You can.
And I do. I get one advantage and one complication. So
okay, I'll add that complication to your sheet for later enjoyment. And so there is an advantage in play that any of the rest of you can describe. Can I, before I get back out on the street, Nadia, the bar is cleared. You know the van is out the back. You know from the reports what's going on the street. What do you do?
I take this moment of quiet to sort of just ready my sidearm, and take a few breaths in case there will be a shootout.
Okay, so are you at the door of the church looking up the street, or are you relying on your earpiece for updates?
I think I'm sort of yeah, I'm well inside the bar, relying mostly on my earpiece, but also sort of keeping a low profile and looking out the windows where I can.
Okay, I think probably we see you flicking the lights off in the bar, and cracking the door, and what you'll see, I think, is Beruz heading, intersecting between where Unjung and the body is and the taxi's approaching, and we're seeing, I think, Beruz coming out of the shadows where he's been in cover towards the taxi. What do you do, Beruz?
So obviously over the comms, I tell, or I shout, "Fire in the hall," or whatever the code is. Again, I draw my gun, and when I'm in position, I'm between Eun Young and the taxi. I want to know what's going on in the taxis. Are they armed?
Right. I just for a moment then I thought you were going to open fire on a taxi without checking it first. So I think that's probably surveil.
All right. So let's see. I have 2 in surveil. And I roll all 4, I guess.
Yes, you do.
And I have 3 minuses, which is a fumble, I guess.
Yeah, that creates so you cannot make out who is inside the taxi, and I have 3 complications to play with later. Unjung, you will see Beruz walking between you and the taxi, and he's focused on the taxi, but he's not doing anything. What do you do?
I say, Beruz, you got it?
No, what's going on? I can't see anything. Do you got the things, the stuff?
I will say, I'm moving for the van.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
The taxi is coasting towards the body, and that's the point, Nadia, when you hear firing from over your shoulder from the opposite direction from where the taxi has come from. Unjung, I've just burned one of my complications for you. So there is the fut of a silenced machine pistol from behind you, firing up the street at Unjung and Beruz and the taxi, I guess. What do you do, Nadia?
Can Can I so the fire, I can see where it's coming from, or is it just coming from?
There are two men in raincoats, and they seem to have just swung out from under the raincoat a little machine pistol, and they're going up the street at your teammates.
All right, I'm going to get into the best position I can by the bar and return fire.
Okay, I think that's shoot.
Two pluses. Nope, did it change? Not sure I rolled two pluses, but now it's 1 minus. So let's go with that.
Okay, so the complication, I'll use it now. They know where the return fire came from, and one of them is now focused on you. The other is focused on Unjung and Beruz. Harrison, what are you doing as you see this unfold on the screens before you?
I radio in to the guys to say, like, ask them if they need to be exfiltrated. Like, I can bring the van around. You need to go. Is it go time? Beruz, Yoon Jung, make the call.
Yeah, get us out of here.
Okay. If Beruz says yes, then I affirm.
Cool. Well, I have a 3 in drive, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, just put the pedal to the metal.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, look, I'm very happy if you just drive sedately around the corner. The question is, if you want to do anything more exciting than that, I'll make you roll.
I mean,
you have to roll for everything.
Yeah, I think this is more a case of just coming around so that they can run to the car rather than me screeching down the street and into the line of fire. But providing them with like the route to get out, you know. So I think I just bring the car around the side and radio in that, like, get cleared, North Side Street, go.
And I think at this point, Beruz, you've got you're staring at the taxi. The taxi has stopped, and the driver gets out and says, "What the fuck's going on here?"
And I shout at him, "Get inside the car, you idiot!"
Oh, I think that he's prepared to do that. So he dives back into the car. And what do Beruz and Unjung do?
So do we hear the van approaching?
I think so. You'll hear the throaty roar of the diesel as it crawls around the corner, so as not to cause any problems. So how are you going to get back there? Are you going to do it by cover, by leapfrogging and covering one another, or are you just going to leg it at full pace?
Yeah, what do you think? I think that we are like a team that would leapfrog. Like I provide cover for her, and then she goes to the next.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a better eyes on the situation. Yeah.
Fine. Nadia, the van has just pulled past the door of the pub, and the targets you've had eyes on are now firing at the van. What do you do?
I'm going to see if I can get a sort of flanking position, draw the fire away from the van.
I think I'll give you that flanking position without making you roll, because I think they saw some fire from the pub. The van has now driven past it. I think that they're drawing the logical conclusion. This is the getaway vehicle. So their attention is now on the van as it goes past you, giving you a chance to shoot at them.
Yeah, so I I think I want to try to see if I can know from my exhaustive knowledge of the maps of the area whether there's a sort of alley or something where I can lay down some covering fire and then escape down like a manhole or something where they won't be able to find me, and I can meet up with the rest of the team later.
There is, as in most British pubs, a trapdoor in front of the pub where beer is delivered to the base. So it's sitting just to one side of the door that you're looking out through. Is the objective to escape or to provide covering fire?
To provide covering fire and let the van and the others escape.
Okay, so I think I see Beruz and Unjung leapfrogging back down the street, the 30 yards towards the van, which is crawling up with the side door open. And the fire is incoming, Harrison. I think I do need you now to do a bit of driving to see just how much damage the van is going to take. And possibly you.
One negative and one plus. Oh, now it's changed to two minuses. Sorry, so two negatives.
Gosh, this is going all terribly well. I think what I'm going to do is apply a point of stress. Is that stress physical or mental? It's up to you to narrate it.
I think it is physical. The glass shatters and gouges his face, like across his face, as he's driving away.
Okay, that's neat. So Unjung and Beruz, you are at the side door of the van. Nadia, you have the targets in view. What do you do?
Yeah, I lay down some covering fire. See if I can drop one of these people. So I guess that's shoot. Two pluses and two minuses.
And with shoot of 1, you take down both the assailants. And I'll just store up those complications, those negatives for later. So they've gone down in a heap. What do you do, Harrison, when Unjung and Beruz, you hear them clambering into the van and the side door clunking shut? What do you do?
I pull away down the street and drive off, basically, and like move out of the way, and I like screaming into the comms, like, "Where the hell's Nadia?"
I mean, that does strike me as a valid question. Nadia, where the hell is Nadia?
Don't worry, people. The situation under control. I think they're both down.
Does that change your intention, Harrison? You've got to the top corner of the street. You're about to turn out of sight.
I slam on the handbrake and I scream down the mic to like, are you coming or going? Because special firearm squad's going to be down here any second now.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Right.
Beirut says over the radio, check the bodies, quick. See if you can find any kind of identification.
Well, meet me at the bodies then.
Harrison swears, turns the van around and drives back down the street with the door wide open, hoping to snatch up Nadia as she goes over the bodies and peel off away. He also asks somebody better at driving to take over the wheel while he tries to run interference on the police response to this daylight shooting in Muswell Hill.
Yeah, Beirut takes
Not daylight. I mean, it's dark.
No, it's after midnight. It's after midnight. It's fine. There are shootings in West London all the time after midnight. So let's just hope that no royal prince is out partying. So yeah, Beruz takes the wheel and screeches. I think that's a drive, isn't it, Beruz?
Yeah, I'm trying to get there as quickly as possible. That it's a plus and 3 minuses.
Well, I'm very happy to stack up. I put complications up to 9, thinking I'd never get there. But thank you for those 6 in total in this scene. And you screech to a halt. Nadia, I think probably, which skill do you think applies to stripping these bodies or trying to find some ID?
Well, surveil, maybe? I don't know.
I think surveil would work if you had a little bit more time, but I think under pressure, this boils down to stealing stuff.
All right.
Stripping the bodies. Go for it.
So that's 1 plus and 1 minus. I don't get it.
So you don't find anything, and I'll stack up again that complication for later, I think. And then into the van.
Yep.
And I'm guessing Beruz screeches away into the darkness.
Indeed, he does.
Okay, so let's cut then at that point to whatever safe house you have access to in London. And what do we see happening there?
You see Harrison pulling glass out of his cheek, swearing and tipping it onto the table next to his scavenge gear, and then while he's still doing that, he's still working on trying to erase, like, any footage, like mess with the tracks. But he's also, and I'm hoping I can do this because I had that advantage left over that never got spent. I'm hoping that maybe the camera's got a good long look at the faces of the 2 men in raincoats.
We'll come to that in a minute. Let's deal with your bleeding cheek.
Great.
Is anybody sensibly equipped to help Harrison just save that attractive visage?
I have a 1 in treat, so yes.
Thank God someone brought a medical kit.
Yep, I will do the thing. It's real basic. There's no like a wound spray or anything. It's just incredibly painful as I lay something across that and then throw the bandage on. But I will roll with treat. Look at that. 1 plus and 1 minus.
That's okay.
So it probably stings like the dickens.
It does, but you recover that point of physical stress. But I think I'll use that complication to leave you with that large dressing on your cheek for the rest of this session. I wonder what caused that. And just to be clear, you don't need to the moderate and severe consequence are not linked to the stress. In effect, once your normal 2 points of stress are used up, the 2 consequences simply add another point of stress in effect. So you don't need to describe that as a facial injury unless your stress track overflows, Harrison. Okay. Sorry, I should have explained that. They're purely descriptive, really. Okay, so we're back at HQ at the safe house. What's the nature of the conversation?
I throw the phone to Harrison and then proceed on whatever table we have to pull out everything that I got and lay it out in like a grid to go through.
Oh, you beauty. Got the best thing. And he kisses the back of the phone. Well, it looks like someone burned our meet up, didn't they?
Yeah, I would be more worried if I knew what it was all about. So let's see what we can get from the papers here.
Beruz, you and Nadia, do we see you doing something, or are you just watch it to see what Harrison can strip out of the phone, or what Eunjung can find in what she stripped from the body?
Oh, and I will gesture over to either one of them, because I'm assuming that they have other eye intelligence analysis, so we can start going through it.
Yeah, Nadia is just sort of hovering and trying to make sense of this, trying to cross-reference everything she knows. So she probably has a sort of little bit, probably looks a bit like she's not paying attention, but she's definitely buying herself.
Yeah.
Beruz is talking to her, completely unaware that she is focused on something else, and complimenting on her on the shooting. It was a nice shot, girl.
And my intent is to have Nadia, Beruz, and I to all look over and see different services have different telltale signs for how they put together their legends, for how they equip their agents. My hope is that by having three different operatives looking at this, we may be able to get a sense of who Markov worked for, where she came from, if she was SIS or something else.
I think I can tell you without asking Harrison to ring to check the phone, is that the encryption on the phone is absolutely MI6 standard. So it's something that is familiar to him. In terms of the other things, she was clearly operating Moscow rules, really, in as much as she was carrying almost nothing apart from that telephone. Her purse had some money in it. It had credit cards in a name that doesn't tie to either to the name you know her as. But I think, let me think. I think that Nadia, roll surveil for me, would you? Because I can't think of anything else that allows that tells me how well you're able to strip information from this, unless you've got a suggestion.
No, so the other thing I thought about was whether I could sort of remember which what sort of guns, for example, would be used by different sorts of agencies, and if they matched the guns that we were shot at with.
They're Czech knockoffs of old Soviet weapons. They're the kind of thing that is available in the black market. They are everywhere. There are thousands of these circulating.
Okay. But I'll roll surveil then, if that's okay. All right, 2 pluses and a minus. So we have a 2.
I'm going to come at this slightly differently. Is that as you are examining what you took off Markov's body, we know that you have this photographic memory for recording, for capturing stuff, and so probably while you're sorting through this, we have a jump cut to you replaying a bit of the encounter in slow-mo. And whenever one of them turns towards you, there's a kind of click on the face, and then another one kind of as he falls when you shoot him, click on the face. And you would identify them as private contractors. Okay? So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Unjung, you and, well, I think Beruz is just, you know, talking to people rather than engaged in going through the stuff. Unjung, you will find folded up a tiny piece of paper in the lining of the wallet. And on it is an address. It says Livre Ancienne, Rue d'Orfèvre, Strasbourg. An address in Strasbourg in France. Meanwhile, Harrison, let's try your let's do something. Let's hack that phone.
Cool. So let's use Harrison's speciality, see if it goes better. Yeah, one success. That seems to be all I can roll is one positive, but I'll take it.
and with no negatives. That's quite important at this stage in the game. There is a call, call earlier this evening to a Pierre Athané in Strasbourg. You can spot the number from that. Okay? So you have an address in Strasbourg. You have a telephone call to a Strasbourg number to a Pierre Athané. In terms of the folks who were going after her, they are, according to Nadia, they're low-grade contractors. They're goons for hire. Yeah? Now, what I'm going to suggest is that we're about an hour and a half in. Would this be a good point to just take a brief break?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
And then when we come back, I'd like to know what you're going to do. And we'll just, while I remember, I think that across that, I certainly saw Harrison Blake display his digital surveillance and countermeasures. So I think that discipline is primed. I think I saw Unjung Ri attempting to be as inconspicuous as possible. I'm just an Asian tourist, you know. So
Right.
I think that discipline is also primed. And I think we saw all the evidence we need of why Nadia was the top marksman in the force. So I think that discipline is also primed. I'm not sure, with the best will in the world, I could see any Persian martial arts at work. But I think we did see Beruz behaving as muscle is supposed to behave. So I think his training is primed. I'm not sure yet we've seen Nadia undertake anything related to her training as an analyst. And I'm not sure at this point that Unjung has primed her training, just her discipline.
Right.
Does that seem fair?
So
Okay.
have I primed my discipline or my training? Sorry.
Your discipline, I think.
Okay.
At this point in the proceedings, yeah, there'll be plenty of room for flashbacks when we come back. Okay, so it's near as makes no difference, half past the hour by me. Shall we have a chance for a cup of tea and a bio break back in our seats at 22 the hour?
Sure.
Fine.
Are you going to?
That's what
Are you going to play video?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to try.
Okay.
So off you go. I will keep staring at the screen and making noises till I've got this video running.
Okay.
See you in 10, guys. Yeah, I've been playing the new Gauntlet Be Right Back music. I can hear it through my earphones, obviously, but it will be interesting to know whether it appears in the recording. But we are still recording, which is all that matters. Okay, so so you've got a name and a place in Strasbourg. You've got no real clues from the goons. Where are you going next?
I have one thing that I would like to ask Harrison to do before we take off for Strasbourg. I said that like the most American way I could say that, Strasbourg. Anyway, we've got Markov's credit cards, and they're undoubtedly tied to whatever ID that she had. Might be from MI6 or might be something somebody else is tracking. Can you take these and essentially set up so that we get them used in like Barcelona or something over the next couple days?
Leave it to me. I'll put it on this message board. There'll be 20 transactions in Venezuela before the end of the night.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll hand you the credit cards.
I'm not actually going to make you roll for that. I think there's no question that that's well within your skill set, and I think that we can assume that Markov has gone travelling. How they'll put that together with the body in West London, we don't need to worry about. What I did want to give you a chance before we kind of split to Strasbourg. I wanted to give each of you a chance to tell us something about your symbol, your solace, or your place of safety. That needn't mean that you have traveled to a place of safety or you meet with the person now. It could be just us hearing something of your memory of them. So can I reverse the... Are you getting something over the audio? I'm just getting slight kind of choppiness over the audio. Is that okay for you lot? Okay.
There's a little tiny bit of distortion every now and again, but it's like the most minor tiny bit.
Okay. I'm hypersensitive to this new streaming recording arrangement, obviously. Okay, so in reverse order then, starting with Nadia, do you want to tell us about your symbol, your solace, or your place of safety, Nadia? And what do you want to tell us?
I think Nadia, in sort of one moment of quiet, she steps out into the corridor and attempts to phone her good friend Eva, who's formerly her psychologist at work, and who she used to always debrief with. I think she's sort of the last time she saw her was sort of a difficult time because she had because Nadia had retreated from the force because of this conspiracy thing, and I think Eva had she did not buy the conspiracy angle, and now right now she won't pick up, but Nadia hears the receiver, and it's good to hear her voice at least.
So you just get the hi, this is Eva, can't take your call at the moment, just leave a message. Do you leave a message?
I hesitate a long time, and then it's too long, so I'll just click it off.
Fine. And then it okay. Working my way back, Beruz, do you want to tell us about your symbol, your solace, or your place of safety?
About the symbol, so probably every time he is not doing something specific, and sometimes even if he does, he runs his fingers through the prayer beads, which is these dark wooden beads that you flip through with your fingers, and that is something he does completely, unconsciously. He's not praying or something. It's just something to distract him, I guess.
Right, because I was going to ask, is he a religious man?
He hasn't been, but since he become aware of the conspiracy, he obviously know that there's actual evil in the world, and so he's not actively praying, but now he's aware that the stuff that he dismissed before is actually real.
Okay, perhaps Baruz is on a journey. We'll see where this takes him. Unjung, would you like to tell us about symbol, solace, or safety?
I actually think okay. I think I want to maybe flashback to training, because I think that connects up to what we're doing. Is I think at we see me going through whatever encrypted files I have on my phone, and I'm looking at people that I've made contact with, turned, or undercut their, in Germany, Austria, any of the areas there, essentially people who probably work at private schools where the wealthy kids of Korean highly placed people are going, and just looking through to see who I know in Strasbourg, and like stopping and going, okay, there's someone who, I could put the pinch on to cover us if we needed to get out quickly.
If we flash back to you, to you doing something similar in your Belgian K-Town restaurant, then we get a sense of your place of safety, and we hit your training flashback.
Yeah, I think it's me meeting with a North Korean operative who thinks that he's talking to somebody who's going to help him defect to South Korea, and that is the moment when I've got like all of the evidence of him talking to me and saying, "You've made a terrible mistake."
Great.
And laying that out for them, essentially, you're working for me now.
So I think that successfully gives us a sense of your place of safety, and then you've primed training. Finally, Harrison, what do we see you doing or thinking about in terms of symbol, solace, or place of safety?
I think we see Harrison basically logging into a remote server for a VPN and pinging a web server that pings back with the expected message, which tells him that his flat in the northern quarter has not been opened, has not been breached, nothing has triggered any of his countermeasures. And he sits back and lets out a sigh of relief as he thinks on how they pinned him for stealing all that cryptocurrency. So he walked away with a nice packet of it in the end anyways, and bought himself a safe house in Manchester.
Fine. So we've got a picture of that flat and its security measures, and that works quite nicely. Okay, so I'd like to cut at that point from that little montage. I'd like to cut to a wide shot of a grand room with views over Paris. Because one of the conceits of this game system is that we will on occasion see things the characters can't see, but the audience does. So what do we see? And let's see, can I again come to Nadia to start with, please? Nadia, what do we see as we pan across this very grand room with a view over Paris that tells us that the person admiring the view has an abiding interest in history and enormous wealth? What do we see?
I think we see there's a bunch of art, and then we see the real Mona Lisa. Because the one in the Louvre is fake, of course.
That's great. No, that's fabulous. Yeah, I like that. And of course, this is our villain, Michael Shannon. Can I come to Beruz? What style is our villain's desk, where a telephone is ringing?
You would expect that it's like an old oaken, I don't know, 17th century desk with intricate carvings, but it's not. It's very clean and sparse. It's just a chrome, what's it called? The chrome foot things, and like a glass table. And it is very austere almost, with the one telephone. Maybe there's an old letter opener, like a knife, and that's it.
Oh, I like the idea of a knife. So yeah, okay. So I'm seeing this grand, almost Baroque room, views over Paris, and then this anachronistic chrome and glass desk on which the telephone is ringing. I think probably see them pick up the paper opener, which is now clearly an SS ceremonial dagger, and cleans his nails with it while just waiting for a moment. And then, how long does he leave it ringing, Eunjung? What does this tell us about him? You're muted, Lo.
I think he waits till the 5th so that people think that it's going to go to the answering machine, but it hasn't stretched it out long enough to make it ludicrous. Just enough to get a little bit of that power play on whoever is calling. And now you're muted.
Got me, damn you. Harrison, what does he do with the SS dagger when he picks up the phone?
I think he puts it flat on the desk and just starts spinning it around in a circle.
Okay, thank you for that. And then we hear the conversation. Yes. And then listening intently for a moment, then I see. And your source is reliable? Very well. Do what must be done. Use the usual cover if necessary, and deliver the package to. And he pauses. Does he ask for the package to be delivered to the clinic, the hotel, the club, the castle, or the lab?
I vote for clinic.
All right. You spoke first. I'll back you on this one.
Any alternatives? Oh, it looks like we're going for clinic. Okay. So he's asked for the package to be delivered to the clinic, and then he puts the phone down, and we cut to Strasbourg. Now, I'm just going to try something a little exotic by sharing a screen with you. Let's see if this works. Tell me if it doesn't, or if it breaks up the signal to a point where it's unusable. But can you see a screen? And can you see it moving about?
Yes.
Okay. So you're in a. This is the view. You can see the Cathédrale Notre-Dame de Strasbourg behind you. This is Rue d'Orfèvre, the address of Livre Ancien, the book. In your initial reconnaissance, you can see that it's quite busy, packed with tourists, pedestrianized. So, with that in mind, what is your objective and how are you going to approach it? Oh, sorry, I've got another question. I beg your pardon. I knew I had a fourth question for 4 people. Yeah, can I ask this of who's it most likely to be? I think this might well be Nadia, actually. As well as that address, you've got the name Pierre Athénée. When did you come across Pierre Athénée before, Nadia?
I think it was at a sort of a party or a sort of gala dinner when I used to work for the tjenesten. I think it was probably like at the Royal Palace in Oslo. The royal family all there, and this was probably just maybe the same year that I quit.
That's great. That gives you something to go for. And if you check out the operation tab, you'll find a picture of Pierre, who is the owner of Livre Ancien. Yeah, and in that map, you'll see Livre Ancien marked in yellow. But we'll come to the detail of that shortly. So, so we've identified Pierre. Who has some leverage on Pierre?
I could have some leverage on Pierre. I know his name. I know more information about him. I could easily uncover some secrets held in some dark corners of the web.
Okay. Then I'll tell you that as well as running a bookshop for very old books, he has an interest in fencing items of occult interest. Yeah?
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to tell me something else about Pierre?
Well, I would prefer him to be a latch, because I can use that. So
yes, and looking at that illustration, I can believe that. So how are we going to come at this? What are you thinking is your objective or your plan?
I want to look at what kind of museum would be in Strasbourg that might have items that he would be interested in, that might have things that might even have tangential related occult significance. And then I want to get the jacket and short skirt of a tour guide from that place, so that I can play that.
That sounds eminently doable. I'm sure that just give me a brief scene of how we see Eunjung getting that uniform.
I think that's her and probably Behruz going into the museum, and Behruz looks Middle Eastern, So he draws the attention of security people, and it's me just stepping into the employees' room and coming back out with the jacket and just quick, a couple of name badges, that kind of thing, and we're in and out very quickly.
That works for me.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say that that is the museum attached to the cathedral. That's likely to have some ancient objects or so that might provide you with something if you're taking this where I think you might be taking it. So I think I see where Eunjung is going with this. How does this all come together into a well-oiled plan?
Nadia, you've got a pretty good knowledge. Can you figure out something from the museum that he might want?
Yes, and since I've met him before, maybe I remember something from a conversation that I overheard at the gala dinner, where he was, talking about some piece of lost art or something that he was.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. I think we have a quick flashback to you in a rather attractive dinner gown, floating around this royal banquet. And what is the name of the item that you heard him mention? Watch me spread that cognitive load.
Well, let's see. It's the scepter of King Louis III.
So we have yeah, and there is indeed that the scepter, for reasons of dramatic and cinematic essentialness, is indeed in the museum. Yeah. Okay. So we've got a museum guide. We've got the hint of an item. What are we doing with these pieces of information?
Nadia has moved in his circles before. Nadia can be the person who sort of sets up that maybe she's got a person on the inside, me, and that she might be able to obtain the item, and then we can do a meet with him, with Nadia, Baruz as bodyguard, and myself as the in over her head, museum person, and then we're wired so that Harrison can keep an eye on us, and maybe we can plant something while we're there.
I mean, I could always break into his shop while he's meeting you.
I like all of these ideas.
Could maybe Harrison, could you set up so that it looks like he gets an email from some sort of art collectors group that he's a part of, which will sort of set up the meeting with me?
Yeah, I'm sure I could work my way into put my fingers in those pots for sure. Could even make a nice little legend for Our Lady here. Social media profile, all the works, Maybe even a Tinder thing. Looks like the kind of guy I'd like to meet a young thing like yourself on Tinder. So I don't know how much of my actions I can do.
Whatever you think is best.
Yeah. But,
okay. So what? Where should we begin then in this little escapade?
I would vote for the meeting, really, with kind of like some of these setups already done. And I would like to put forward that Harrison would take the opportunity to to case his shop and break in rather than provide surveillance in this case, if it's not too much of a fuss to split scenes.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We can run these in parallel. Split screen is absolutely genre appropriate. So first of all, then, an email arrives to Pierre's shop from this art group expressing an interest in said scepter. Yeah? Okay. What do we see? Nadia, how do you, you've met him before. How do we see you setting the meeting up with Unjung and your muscular bodyguard?
I think we just meet at the fine restaurants, and I have, of course, remembered what his favorite food was, escargot, and I've scoped out the best place for that in the city, and ordered seats.
Fine. And so what name does he know you by? Which work name were you using at that function?
Yeah, so it was probably just Miss Yacht.
So you're using your real name for him?
Yes, because unfortunately he was there when I at an occasion where I did use my real name, so
okay,
he would know if.
So he knows you as Nadia Hort, yeah, or Miss Hort.
Yes, I will, or actually, I will. I'll change that. I'll be Nadia Sivicin, and then if he just in case he doesn't recognize me or remember me, and that might take some of the others reminding me that not everyone has the memory I have.
No, I think that cinematic necessity means that of course he remembers you, and he's very happy to meet you for dinner. My dear Nadia, it's a joy to see you again. How have you been?
Oh well, as you can see, I have moved on to other kinds of business. The intelligence service is tiring after a while.
And so I'm very pleased to meet you for dinner, but you imply there is more to this than just sociability.
Oh yes, you see, I could not help but remember that you were a man of quite distinguished taste in the arts and in the scene of particular antiquities.
Well, indeed, and obviously his interest is piqued. Do you have something for me, Nadia?
Yes, I happen to have shall we say, come into an opportunity. The scepter of King Louis the Third.
Oh, his eyes go wide. The scepter.
Yes, the very same.
But it's under incredible levels of security at the cathedral.
Well, you remember my background, don't you? It comes in useful when you have moved on from the strictures of governments and law.
So what are we talking about here, Nadia? What do you need?
I have a plan. If you would like to participate, it does require your participation.
You name it, Nadia. I would do almost anything for the scepter. I received an email not 36 hours ago from a collector, a very discreet collector, who expressed an interest.
Oh, excellent. I think we should move this meeting to a more private location, and I will introduce you to my associates.
Then come to the shop tomorrow in the afternoon. I'll close early.
All right.
Now, I think that's probably seen at that point. Harrison, are you casing the joint at this point, or what?
I think I'm staking out the joint at this point, like observing it, and I won't make my actual move on the place until he's, got eyes on like the rest of the group rather than just for Nadia, because I can always ask Beruz to keep him there against his will if I need to.
Okay. So this is evening time, isn't it? Because it's dinner. That's the time frame. Well, right, I'm going to try something far too clever now. We're going to try to walk to Livre Ancienne. Okay. So let's see if this works. So there is Rue d'Orfèvre, which I think you can see. And as we make our way up Rue d'Orfèvre to here, you'll see that there is an arch to the left. And Harrison, at this time of the evening, those gates you can see are closed and locked.
Right.
So, and I'll just give you a kind of sense of the where we're at. So there's an evening shopping crowd, but those gates are locked after the shop closes. So what's your intent?
So I wander back over to the square. I hire out a bike hire from the little stand there, and I wheel it back over to the gates of the thing. I prop it against the gate door, and I start fiddling with my bike as I lockpick the gates and gain entry to it.
So you tell me which ski, because if I go away from this picture to see the character sheets, I will lose the picture. So what are you using, and how good are you at it?
I would say that's maybe fix. Would that work for this? I'm not quite sure if fix. I understood fixes to be like mechanically sort of stuff. I could use infiltrate.
I think this is infiltrate.
Okay, cool. Well, that's the same rating. It's a 1.
Fine.
And I get my 1 pass, but I get a negative as well this time. That's 1 complication.
Again, I'll sit on the complication, but you successfully crack open the gates and go inside. Meanwhile, Unjung and Beruz, what are you doing this evening?
I think we have established that Beruz is with Nadia, working as her bodyguard, probably standing outside the restaurant at the where the Metro D is, because he doesn't want to disturb the the dinner and the private atmosphere. But he's calling in on Harrison over the comms. Harrison, if you need more time, just give me the signal.
Would I have a nickname for Beruz? What would that be? One that you wouldn't object to?
Well, ask Baruz.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking Baruz, is her horse, even. I want to call him Bez, because I feel like that's what Harrison would call him.
And he wouldn't object.
He wouldn't like
I mean,
that.
he would probably roll his eyes every time you say his name, but in a
Cool.
like manner.
Cheers, Bez. If you keep him there, I'll let you know. But I reckon that a guy like Pierre will be wanting to chat to Yun all night long.
Yeah, he looks like an old perv, but you never know.
Yeah, I will do soon.
Unjung, what are you doing this evening? Is it related to the mission, or is it something else?
Yeah. So our meet is tomorrow. So what I want to arrange tonight is I want to essentially go and make arrangements for a wheelman to be in the area. We may not use them, but I want a car with a getaway driver, within whatever the closest possible, area would be. I know it's kind of a maze of pedestrian traffic there, but whatever crossroad we can put somebody in, I want to do that.
Okay. What skill do you see yourself using to set that up?
Oh, I think that for me, that's talk. Essentially,
Yeah.
just going and talking and making arrangements and doing that.
Okay, I won't make you do that now. Let's work out how effective that is when it matters.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So we're back then, having picked the gates. That's the view ahead, Harrison. And so are you wheeling the bike down here?
I think he's wheeling the bike down here. Yeah. And he's going to use it as cover for as long as he can do.
Okay. I mean, he did notice just a sign here giving notice of some work to be done, presumably on these very dodgy cobbles tomorrow. And he makes his way through to the courtyard. Again, I'll give you a sense of the locale and ignore that person. But there is Livre Ancienne. And if we go as far as that, the door, of course, is closed and the lights are off. But this is Livre Ancienne. And this is the vicinity.
Does he spot any CCTV cameras or anything like that? Or a security system on the outside? Cool.
He thinks that this is, though it looks just like a glass door, it does look like there's a security system just behind that lintel. And these seem to be very, very flash apartments, which he would guess have good security.
Yeah. Well, he'll prop the bike up near in between the shop and the apartments, and I think he'll actually put it upside down, and take off one of the wheels and prop it against the wall, so that it looks like he's fiddling around with it, but he's going to take a quick look around and then see if he can identify. Well, I don't know. Could he maybe try and remote hack the security system from here if it's one of these really stupid Internet of Things? Which basically there's a lot of security products that are really bad at security, and Harrison is more than able to exploit those if that's what Pierre has.
I think when he examines it, what you will find is that this apartment access does have a tiny little camera scanning presumably the area outside. It doesn't look like this is an Internet of Things. It looks like you'll need to be at a laptop of some description to do this.
Okay.
This looks like a very secure apartment block because it's rather flash.
And that's the way into the shop as well, right?
The shop doorway.
Yeah.
There's the apartment. There's the shop. The shop is locked, but it does look like it's got a pretty effective, behind the lintel here, it does look like you can see a pretty effective security system.
Yeah, and would that be an Internet of Things? Because
I think if you could get to a laptop, I think it's going to be very difficult to do this while appearing to tinker with your bike.
Oh no, yeah, no. He's the bike is just sort of like camouflage there next to him. He's whipping out a tablet that he's got in his jacket pocket that he's preloaded with a bunch of apps and things, and he's going through. He's peering in at the security box, and he's like seeing the the make, the number, that kind of thing, and he's going to try and see if he can jack into an unsecure web server, which by God, these are common.
And at this point, I'm going to cash in the single complication I have on you.
Okay.
To have a policeman wander down from where that gate is unlocked into the courtyard.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I carry on fiddling with the tablet, and I bring up on one of the screens. I bring up YouTube, how to fix your bike, like how to, like align the wheel or whatever, right? Like.
And he wanders up and he says to you in French, "Do you live here?"
Non, ma copain y habite l'appartement, mais mon vélo est très mal. And he says, "My friend lives in the apartment. My bike is very bad."
And I think what he says to you is, "Oh, which apartment?" Could we try talk soft, please?
Sure thing. That is a fail. I can never roll anything more than one positive on any of these.
It's clear to you that he's looking very suspiciously at you at this point. And he's just checking in on his microphone to say, he says, I'm just checking out something a bit suspicious on Rue de Fèvre. And he says, I don't think you live here.
No, I don't live here. My friend lives here.
Okay, move along.
Can I not fix my bike?
Your friend will look after it. You can pick it up tomorrow. The gate is supposed to be closed this time. Move along. If you don't have access, if you don't have a key, or you don't have a ID.
Well, my friend closes the gate behind me. And Harrison looks at the bike, spits on the ground, and walks away. But having memorized the security system of this, and he will try and hack into it nearby if he can do. Fine.
So right, let me stop sharing that screen because I don't think we need that anymore right now. There we go. Okay, so we're unless you want to do anything else, I'm going to cut to tomorrow afternoon. And
sure.
Does that seem? Anybody got anything they want to do with the rest of that day, or do we cut to the meeting with Pierre that Nadia has arranged? Okay, let's assume that's going to happen. So Nadia, he said to come at the end of the day. He'd close a little early at about 4 o'clock. Yeah. So what I'm seeing is Nadia and her bodyguard Beruz, and I'm seeing, what do I see, Eunjung?
The skirt is slightly shorter than regulation ought to be for a museum guide, and I've kind of done my makeup, and I've done the thing where I have the sort of obligatory, made up handbag that has like little kitties and things on it, so that I look like I'm over my head, like I'm this poor, a person who came over to Europe from Korea, and it was more expensive than she thought, and now she's gotten caught up with something, and there aren't nearly enough Asian tourists at the thing to really justify, and she's going to get fired, and she's run into this woman who says that she's going to help, and she's being dragged along on this.
Yes, I think that I'm not going to make you roll for that. It seems to me that that's absolutely in character. That's absolutely your do. All three of them are going to the meeting. Harrison, what are you doing during the meeting?
Harrison is going to try and prepare for a second run down at the bookshop, but what he's going to do first is he's going to try and hack that security system before he goes anywhere near the courtyard, so that you can, at the push of a button, get inside. Or even if you can't get inside, subvert the CCTV cameras in there, do something, see what you can.
So he's in the safe house, the flat, with a bunch of screens and stuff. What we come to see him is okay. Then let's cut to the meeting. And the shop, as you've seen, is quite a flashy shop. It's not very big. Nadia, in you go, and there is Pierre. Nadia, and both cheeks, and it's and he's he's salivating, and then he sees Unjung, and he's salivating in a different and much less pleasant way. And then he perhaps sees Berouz and thinks, hang on, I must be careful here. And he comes in and he locks the door behind you, sets the security system, flips the sign on the door to closed, and he's all ears.
I certainly play like I'm a little nervous about Berouz and that my French is terrible.
And Berouz plays it that he's that is very aggressive and imposing, like full of toxic masculinity. So
do you want to put Pierre on the back foot before we start anything else, Berouz?
Yeah, that's definitely the intention.
Because I think that's probably talk hard, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see that.
There's a plus and a minus.
Well, that's success. So Pierre is I think probably you do intimidate him, but the complication is that he's now slightly suspicious, because this meeting has not started the way perhaps that he anticipated. You can hear the drilling going on on that little tunnel where they were replacing the cobblestones. So it's there's that going on in the background. There's this intimidating big Iranian man, and Pierre is now looking slightly nervous and looking from Nadia to Unjung to Berouz. What do you do, Nadia?
Don't mind Arvio. It's just my security, my insurance, if you will.
Well, okay, but I he's a very big man, Nadia.
Yes, and I'm a moderately sized woman.
And your friend is charming.
Hear you.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, he says, I can also hear you.
Oh, that does nothing to calm Pierre, who is looking slightly nervous. Would somebody like to? I think surveil is the closest thing to getting a sense of what's going through his mind. Would somebody like to roll surveil for me?
Not it.
I think that's probably Nadia then, as you are closest. You are the point of this conversation.
All right. The dice is behaving weirdly, but it's a minus.
He is now getting. He is obviously suspicious, because this is not planning out the way he thought it was going to. So what do, the three of you?
So, do we have like a clear goal here? Is our goal to get him out of the shop? Is it to really
Well,
get him on our side?
The only clue you've got is that Markov, the dead MI6 agent, had his name, had made a call to him 36 hours before she met with you, and had his address, the shop's address. So that's what you know.
May I ask? Let's assume we had this woman Markov's phone. Did we have, like, from that her setup for the voicemail box where you know, like a voice sample, like we have a sample of her voice from that?
Yes, why not? What do you want to do with it?
Then I think that's the point at which, and we're going to delay this until we know that Blake gives us a signal that he's hacked the security so that we can control any outgoing calls or silent alarms or anything like that. But I have a plan for when that happens, so I want to hold off until we know if Blake has succeeded or gotten arrested by the gendarmes.
Yes. Shall we see if that's happening, Blake? So this is, what do you think? Infiltrate or hack?
I'd say this is hack, because it's the only one that's rolled well for me so far.
Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what? I'm going to use... No, I need to change one of those to hack, I think, rather than 2 on surveil, because it's not... But I got 2 minuses.
So you're not inclined to use your prime discipline for digital surveillance and countermeasures to re-roll the 2.
I am, yeah.
So you can re-roll any neutrals.
And that's 2 positives. So,
well, there you go. Life's sweet, isn't it?
So does that cancel out one of the complications and give me a success? Or?
I think it does. It gives you success. It gives you an advantage, which cancels one of the complications. The complication